Alright everyone, so we got something a little weird from Nintendo toward the end of last week. Last Thursday, on their official Twitter account, the announcement was made that Pokemon Puzzle League is now available on Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack. Now this is very normal. Nothing strange or out of the ordinary about that. But if we look carefully below, we can see here that Nintendo actually replied to their own tweet just to say, more Nintendo 64 games will be added to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack, stay tuned. This is very interesting. Of course, it was pretty safe to assume more N64 games would be coming to NSO soon, as there are many heavy hitters still not available on the service, but after Pokemon Puzzle League, we didn't know of any of the other titles in the works. Now, clearly this tweet doesn't help much in this regard, as we still don't know what the next N64 game will be, but at least now we know for sure that more are on the way. When it comes to potential games being added, I see them falling into two distinct categories. There are the normal adds, or games that fall in line with what we already have. A lot of the games in this category are the single player ones that everyone would expect to be added at some point, and we actually have a decent number of these still left. I'll talk about those specific games in more detail later. But first, I want to talk about the other category, the games that would be pretty insane to see added to the Switch, mainly for one reason: the potential of adding online multiplayer. Many of the key games in Nintendo's multiplayer history got their start or really became popular on the N64. A game like Mario Kart 64 is a great example. And now, because of NSO, we're able to play this classic racer online with people all over the world. Continuing this trend and making more N64 multiplayer experiences available online, for me, is one of the biggest reasons to purchase this expansion pack, and it's why I'd like to think that more games like this are probably on the way. The first game that comes to my mind is the original Super Smash Bros. This has always been my number one choice when I think about multiplayer games on the Nintendo 64. I play Link usually, and I like some Captain Falcon too. It's definitely the N64 multiplayer game I've spent the most time with. And while it's not my favorite Smash game, just having the option to find a real opponent online in an official capacity would be amazing to see. While online Smash 64 would be cool and an amazing first step toward the dream of having online play available in every Smash Bros. Game, imagine that, the N64 games I'm maybe even more excited for are the classic Mario parties. Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 are all Nintendo 64 titles with a core focus on multiplayer, and not to mention these are some of the most beloved games in the entire series. The Switch has already modernized content from these games in what we now know as Mario Party Superstars, but sometimes you just want to play the original. I can't stress enough how cool just having even one of these classic Mario Party games available with online features would be. And if we got all three, now that would just be perfect. Next on my list are Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. Pokemon games, or at least Pokemon spin-off games, are now on the table for Nintendo Switch Online, as we've already had Pokemon Snap come to the service, and most recently, Pokemon Puzzle League. There's really nothing stopping the Pokemon Battle Simulators Stadium 1 and 2 from being announced for Switch one day. The ability to run 2-player battles online would be amazing, and of course, who can forget the 4-player minigames on offer in both of these titles? I mean, sometimes you just want to play some Snore War, you know? Even if we're forced to use the rental teams in battles, there's enough here to make these games valuable adds to the NSO service. And here we go again, what if one day the Gen 1 and 2 Game Boy games were added to Switch, and there was transfer pack functionality built right in? Don't even get me started. As I mentioned at the start, we've been able to play Mario Kart 64 online on the Switch for a while now, but we can't forget about the console's other successful kart racer, Diddy Kong Racing. And this leads me to my next big talking point. Diddy Kong Racing is one of several big N64 titles developed by Rare. Rare is also the team behind the beloved multiplayer FPS games Perfect Dark and GoldenEye 007. All three of these are no-brainers to add to Switch, especially if there's an online multiplayer element involved, and on their own would probably do a lot to sell the expansion pack to more Switch owners. Because of this, I think it's very possible we could be playing all three of these games on Switch one day. First of all, I don't think the fact that they're Rare developed will be an issue. For one thing, Nintendo already has some rare games included in these online collections. The Donkey Kong Country games are all over the SNES service, and Banjo-Kazooie, another rare developed game, is readily available in the N64 library already. So to me, this doesn't seem like an issue holding them back. Diddy Kong Racing, I believe, is the most likely of the bunch. Diddy is a Nintendo character at the end of the day. But on the other hand, there are some things that I think could hold the other two back. First, in the case of GoldenEye, the James Bond license might be a bit tricky for Nintendo to navigate. And then for both games, the more mature themes could turn Nintendo away from re-releasing them on the service. Not saying this is a deal breaker, as we already have games like Operation Winback and Sin and Punishment that are a bit more mature than your standard fare, but a potential obstacle nonetheless. For example, I'm willing to bet this is the exact reason we haven't seen Conker anywhere near the Switch yet. Rare really was a prolific developer for Nintendo during the N64 era, but it's not just great multiplayer experiences that they created. Their single-player games are widely loved as well. As we said, Banjo-Kazooie is already available, so naturally you have to think its sequel Banjo-Tooie is also coming at some point. And if we're talking 3D platformers, of course we need to talk about Donkey Kong 64 as well. These are two games I know many people would be excited for if announced. They're definitely in that safer single-player category I was talking about earlier, and I feel really confident we'll see both of them pretty soon. And for what it's worth, both games actually have multiplayer modes as well, which are honestly pretty fun in their own right, so added bonus if online functionality is also added to those. And with that, we've covered most of the big smash hit N64 games. I'd also like to mention games like Pilotwings 64 and Wave Race 64, which are both first-party developed titles that I feel are pretty much locks for the NSO service at some point too. And of course, there are many smaller titles that we could see pop up at any time on NSO. We could speculate all day about what those could be, but for the sake of this video, I just wanted to focus on the big ones. Let me know in the comments section which games you think are coming to the N64 online service next. I'm excited to see what gets announced, and seeing as we have no idea what the next group of games is going to be right now, it makes me think we're probably going to get some news relatively soon. As always, thanks for watching everyone, and remember to keep it here with this channel for more quality Nintendo content like this. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video.